human captain always failed at training until she trained her soldiers based on song. The agrarian world of Keralon stretched out beneath a duo of suns, their warm light bathing vast fields in golden hues. The Thalans moved with quiet purpose across those communal farms, their plated skins gleaming like polished stone as they tilled soil that spanned thousands of hectares. Life here flowed in steady rhythms, generations of artisans shaping tools and crops, with hands adapted to endurance, not haste. Yet a subtle unease lingered in the air, whispers of something vast approaching from the stars. High above, the orbital energy collection ring hummed with captured stellar power. This colossal structure, 500 kilometers in diameter, floated like a silent guardian, its panels absorbing light to sustain the planet's modest population of several million souls. It was a marvel of Thalan ingenuity, blending ancient craftsmanship with modern tech. But lately its shadow seemed longer, heavier. Rumors had spread among the Thalans for weeks now. Talk of a cosmic behemoth, the Lumen Leviathan, a glowing entity larger than most asteroids. Its presence announced itself not through sight alone, but through neural static that seeped into minds, causing fleeting disorientation in isolated outposts. Farmers paused mid-plow, shaking off dizziness, wondering if the old tales of star wanderers held truth. Captain Mara Voss descended from her shuttle, her tall frame stepping onto the soft soil with purposeful strides. She carried the weight of her Earth military background in a simple duffel of training gear, her tied-back hair catching the breeze. The air smelled of fresh earth and faint ozone, a far cry from the sterile ships she'd known. She scanned the horizon, noting how the fields rolled endlessly, dotted with commune workshops where Thalans hammered metal or wove fabrics. Elder Holden greeted her in his ceremonial robes, the matte plating on his skin etched with symbols of leadership. "Welcome, Captain Voss. Our council is grateful for your expertise," he said, his voice measured, polite. But Mara caught the undercurrent of urgency. Behind him stood the ragtag group of 50 Thalan trainees, their gentle, rhythmic movements a stark contrast to the rigid formation she was used to. They shifted like workers in a field, not soldiers on parade, their eyes curious yet reserved. Among them, Evo Calder stood apart. His massive form was encased in an exoskeletal forging frame, a device that had reshaped his body over 2 decades of gradual pressure. It made him tower over the others, his limbs bulky and strong, yet he shrank inwardly from attention, his gaze fixed on the ground. Mara noted the way the frame creaked faintly with each breath, a constant reminder of his long path to strength. Dr. Adrian Cole lingered at the edge, slim and unassuming in his white research coat, glasses perched on his nose. He clutched his ever-present data tablet, observing the assembly quietly. Already he jotted notes on the Thalans' harmonious work, chants that echoed softly across the fields, low hums that seemed to sync with the planet's pulse. "Interesting," he murmured to himself, tapping the screen. Mara addressed the group, her voice practical and assertive. "We'll start with basic drills, the kind that built human forces back home. Formations, endurance runs, quick responses. We have 10 weeks to turn you into a defense force." She outlined her initial plan for rigid drills, inspired by human boot camps, but sensed subtle resistance in the Thalans' polite nods and averted gazes. They hummed softly in acknowledgement, but their bodies didn't snap to attention like recruits she knew. As the first session began at dawn, the duo suns cresting the horizon, the group stumbled through basic formations. Mara barked commands, "Line up, straight and tight!" But their agrarian instincts clashed with the sharp orders. Feet accustomed to plodding furrows tripped over sudden halts, bodies built for steady labor, resisting the jerks and pivots. A quiet undercurrent of frustration built, murmurs rippling like wind through crops. From the field edges, a young Thalan farmer watched, his companion beside him. He felt a mix of awe and unease, whispering, "This human's intensity It's like she's plowing through us, not with us. Disrupts the natural flow, you know? Our daily labors have a rhythm, and well, it feels off. His friend nodded, eyes wide, as the trainees faltered again. Mara pushed on, adjusting her stance to demonstrate a proper march. The Thalans tried, their plated skins shifting with effort, but the mismatch was clear. Evo lagged at the rear, his frame heavy on the uneven ground. Each step a ponderous thud. Nell Hart, a slender Thalan with a poet's lilt, hummed a soft tune under her breath, trying to ease the group, but Mara waved it off. Focus on the steps, not the song. By midday, sweat gleamed on skins and frames alike. Adrian hovered nearby, his tablet recording every wince and stumble. He noticed patterns, how the disharmony seemed to invite faint headaches, perhaps tied to that distant static. "Captain," he said quietly during a break, "their chants might hold a key. It's not just noise." Mara wiped her brow, surveying the tired faces. She felt the weight of her methods, but change didn't come easy. "We'll adapt if needed. For now, push through." The group reformed, but the air hummed with unspoken doubt. As the evening fell, the orbital ring cast long shadows over the fields. Rumors of the Leviathan grew, its glow a faint speck in the sky. Mara retired to her quarters, a simple hut amid the communes, reflecting on the day. The Thalans were resilient, but her ways grated against theirs. Still, she pressed on in her mind, planning tweaks. Evo, in his own space, adjusted his frame with a soft click, the pressure a familiar ache. He wondered if he'd ever fit, his size a burden more than a boon. Elder Halden, retreating to his chambers, smiled thinly. Opportunities lay in chaos, he thought, eyes on the stars. The training grounds quieted, but the static whispered on, a prelude to greater trials. The team, unaware, slept under watchful suns, bonds yet to form. In the fields, workers exchanged glances, sensing shifts in the wind. The humans' arrival marked change, but what kind? They returned to their tasks, plowing under starlight, rhythms unbroken for now. Mara dreamed of old battles, rigid lines holding firm. Here, flexibility might win the day. Dawn would bring more attempts, the Leviathan drawing ever closer. Adrian pored over data late into the night, waveforms dancing on his screen. Something in the chants countered the noise, he mused, a harmony waiting to be unlocked. The planet turned, fields whispering secrets as the cosmic visitor loomed. Trainees stirred in sleep, dreams laced with static's edge. From afar, the Leviathan pulsed, its call faint but insistent, a distress echoing across voids. Keralon's peace held, fragile as dawn's light, ready to fracture or strengthen. Mara stood on the training grounds, the duo suns climbing higher, their heat pressing against her uniform. She pushed the Thalans through grueling human-style exercises, her voice sharp. "Faster! Timed marches, keep up!" They trudged across the Keralon's fertile valleys, the uneven terrain, tripping feet accustomed to steady plowing. The trainees' plated skins glinted with sweat, their bodies built for endurance faltering under bursts of speed. Frustration hung heavy, a quiet rebellion in their slow steps. Evo lagged at the rear, his forging frame creaking under the strain, each step a heavy thud that echoed his deep-seated insecurity. The exoskeleton, meant to sculpt strength over decades, felt like a cage today, amplifying his stumbles. Murmurs rippled among the group, soft but pointed as eyes flicked toward him. He's too slow, they thought. Too bulky for this. Evo's gaze stayed low, shoulders hunching further. Nell Hart, her poet's voice soft, tried to weave a subtle rhythm into the march, humming a work chant that had guided Thalan farmers for generations. The notes rose, lilting, but Mara's assertive corrections cut through. "No distractions, Hart. Focus on movement." Nell's hum faltered, her face tightening as the group slogged on, exhaustion mounting by the hour. The rhythm of their fields felt distant, drowned by barked orders. Adrian Cole hovered near the edge, his tablet glowing with data. He noticed how the neural static, that faint buzz from the approaching Leviathan, seemed to spike during moments of discord. Trainees winced, rubbing temples as brief headaches flared. "It's not random," he muttered, scribbling notes. "The chaos. It's amplifying something." His glasses slipped slightly as he squinted at the waveforms, a puzzle forming in his mind. Priya Das, her sketchpad tucked under one arm, traced patterns inspired by the group's faltering steps. Her artist's eye saw tapestries in their movements, but Mara's focus on discipline sidelined her. "Not now, Das," Mara said, gesturing toward the march. Priya nodded, her ideas tucked away, frustration flickering in her eyes as she watched the team stumble. Gabe Rowan, wiry and quick, demonstrated a scouting run with agricultural drones, their whirring a faint echo of the field's rhythm. "These bots could scout terrain, maybe even lure that thing," he offered, but the team, weary from failed drills, barely listened. The drones hovered, ignored, as the group's focus frayed under the sun's glare. By week's end, morale sagged like overripe crops. Several Thalans whispered complaints to Elder Halden during a break, their voices low but sharp. Halden's cold, calculating gaze swept over them, his matte-plated face unreadable. "Patience," he said smoothly. "The human will deliver, or she won't." Behind his words, he saw the Leviathan's approach as a chance to harvest its energy, a secret plan coiling in his mind. Mara retreated to her quarters, a simple hut smelling of earth and wood. Alone she sat on the cot, her duffel untouched. The day's spectacular failure gnawed at her. "I've trained soldiers before," she thought, "but it's different." Her empathetic side stirred, questioning her rigid approach, but habit held firm. She'd adjust tomorrow, maybe. For now, she sketched new drills, clinging to what she knew. Ivo lay awake in his quarters, the forging frame's pressure a constant ache against his skin. His mind churned with doubts, each creak a reminder of his isolation. "I'm not a real soldier, just a burden," he thought, staring at the ceiling. The frame meant to forge strength felt like a mockery of his worth. Sleep eluded him, the distant static weaving into his dreams. From a council chamber high above the fields, Elder Halden gazed at the orbital ring, its panels glinting under starlight. A multi-dimensional perspective revealed his thoughts. The Leviathan's chaos was an opportunity. If we harness its power, he mused, Keralon could rival any colony. His fingers traced a console, already tweaking the ring's systems in secret, a plan to draw the creature closer for gain. The training grounds lay silent, the suns dipping low. Trainees dispersed to their communes, their steps heavy with doubt. Mara's commands echoed in their minds, clashing with the rhythms they knew. The Leviathan's glow grew brighter in the night sky, a distant pulse that set hearts uneasy. In the fields, farmers worked late, their tools moving in sync with ancient chants. They glanced skyward, sensing the human's arrival had shifted something deeper than training. "She doesn't know our ways," one whispered. "But maybe she'll learn." Nut. The rhythm of their plows held steady, a quiet defiance against the looming threat. Mara paced her hut, her mind replaying the day's stumbles. She'd led units through worse, hadn't she? Earth's wars taught her discipline, but Keralon demanded something else. "Adapt or fail," she muttered, rubbing her temples. "Tomorrow, we try again." Adrian sat cross-legged in his quarters, tablet balanced on his knees. The static's waveforms dance, jagged but patterned. "It's not just noise," he said to himself. "There's meaning here, something alive." He adjusted his glasses, the puzzle pulling him deeper, unaware of Halden's schemes. Ivo shifted in his frame, the metal groaning softly. He imagined the Leviathan, its glow both terrifying and strange. Could he ever stand against it? His thoughts spiraled, heavy as the frame itself. The orbital ring turned silently above, its hum a faint echo of the static now threading through Keralon's nights. The Thalan slept, their dreams uneasy, while farmers kept their vigil, tools moving in time with songs older than the stars. Haldan's chamber glowed with console lights, his fingers pausing over hidden command. The Leviathan's energy could change everything, he thought, lips curling. The trainees were a means, not the end. Mara stood at her window, watching the ring's silhouette. She felt the weight of eyes. Thalan, human, cosmic. 10 weeks, she whispered. We'll make it work. But doubt lingered, a shadow as long as the rings. The static pulsed, faint but growing, a call from the void that Keralon could no longer ignore. The suns rose over Keralon, painting the fields in hues of amber and green. Mara stood before the trainees, her stance softer than before, her eyes scanning their weary faces. Adrian had approached her at dawn, his tablet glowing with data. Captain, the Thalan's work song. They synchronize brainwaves, he said, showing jagged waveforms that smoothed during chants. They counter the Leviathan static, calm the mind. It's not just culture, it's science. Mara nodded, a spark of understanding flickering. The rigid drills had failed. Perhaps the Thalan's rhythms held the key. She abandoned push-ups and marches, her voice steady but warm. No more earth drills. Today we train like you farm. Move together, find the rhythm. The trainees blinked, plated skins catching the light, their postures easing. Nell Hart stepped forward, her poet's voice lilting as she led the first chant. A slow, resonant hum rose, echoing across the training grounds, sinking their steps into a fluid dance of preparation. Feet that stumbled yesterday now moved as if planting seeds, deliberate and sure. Evo found tentative footing, his massive frame no longer a burden, but a pillar. His strength channeled into protective stances, mimicking the anchoring of plows against stormy soil. Each motion felt natural, his creaking frame syncing with the chant's pulse. I can do that, he murmured, a quiet confidence stirring within. Nell's hum steadied him, her voice a thread weaving the group together. Priyadas, her sketchpad now open, wove color patterns inspired by Thalan art into visual aids. Think of formations as tapestries, she said, projecting hues of blue and gold onto a hollow screen. The trainees nodded, seeing their movements as living ART, not rigid lines. Mara watched, her practical mind noting how Priya's creativity bridged gaps her commands couldn't. Gabe Rowan tinkered nearby, repurposing a handful of agricultural drones for mock scouting runs. Their whirring synced with Nell's chant, a mechanical hum blending with organic rhythm. These bots could guide us, maybe even guide IT, Gabe said, eyes on the sky where the Leviathan's glow lingered faintly. The drones dipped and wove, a small victory in their fluid dance. Progress built slowly, the neural statics effects lessening during sessions. Trainees moved with clearer focus, their headaches fading as chants held the chaos at bay. Bonds formed in quiet moments, shared glances, soft hums, a sense of purpose. Mara praised small victories, her assertive tone softening into fair encouragement. You're finding your strength, she said, earning nods from once skeptical Thalans. The fields around them seemed to hum in approval, crops swaying under the suns. Adrian lingered at the edge, his tablet tracing waveforms. The static wasn't just noise he suspected. It carried intent. There's a pattern here. Something alive, he whispered, keeping his theories close for now. His analytical mind churned, piecing together fragments of a larger truth, unaware of Haldan's hidden hand. The session ended under the orbital ring's shadow, its panels glinting like a distant promise. The Leviathan's glow, now a shared motivator, pulsed faintly in the dusk. The trainees stood closer, their tentative bond forming like roots taking hold. We're not soldiers yet, Nell said, her voice soft, but we're something. Mara nodded, feeling the shift. From a nearby commune, a Thalan elder watched, his multidimensional perspective heavy with hope. "They move like us now," he murmured to a companion. "Like the fields, not the stars. Maybe this human understands." His companion hummed agreement, their tools pausing as they felt the planet's pulse align with the team's rhythm. Evening brought quiet to the grounds, but the static's whisper grew, a faint buzz threading through the night. Mara walked the fields alone, her boots sinking into soft earth. She felt the Thalan's resilience, their songs a language she was beginning to hear. "Failure's just data," she thought, echoing her old training. Keralon was an Earth, and that was its strength. Evo sat by a workshop, his frame adjusted for rest. The chants lingered in his mind, easing the ache of doubt. He flexed a hand, feeling its power not as a burden, but a shield. "Maybe I'm enough," he thought, the words fragile but growing. Adrian burned the midnight oil, his quarters lit by the tablet's glow. Waveforms dance, hinting at a distress call, not chaos. "If I'm right," he muttered, "this changes everything." He pushed his glasses up, the puzzle deepening, unaware of the conspiracy brewing above. Holden, in his chamber, monitored the ring systems, his tweaks subtle but deliberate. The Leviathan's energy could make Keralon a power, he thought, his cold eyes on a console. The trainees were a tool, their progress a means to his end. The fields hummed softly, farmers working late, their chants a quiet defiance against the static's edge. They glanced skyward, sensing the human shift, the team's growing unity. "They're learning our song," one whispered, her tool moving in time. Mara stood at her hut's window, the ring silhouette stark against the stars. The Leviathan's glow was closer, a challenge and a call. She felt the weight of her role, but also a spark of hope. "We'll find the rhythm," she murmured, her mind already shaping new plans. The trainees slept, their dreams lighter, woven with Nell's chants. The static pulsed, insistent but less oppressive, as if the planet itself pushed back. Keralon turned, its fields a canvas of resilience, ready for the next step. In a commune workshop, Priya sketched late, her patterns glowing with purpose. Gabe tinkered with a drone, its lights mimicking her designs. Their quiet work mirrored the team's slow unity, a fusion of art and tech. The Leviathan loomed, its call a distant echo across the void. The Thalan's songs held the line, fragile but firm, as the planet braced for what lay ahead. Weeks blurred into a steady cadence on Keralon, the duo's sons marking time as the team wove chants into strategy simulations. The planet's natural bioluminescent fields glowed softly at dusk, serving as ethereal backdrops for luring tactics. Trainees moved in sync, their plated skins shimmering under the lights, mimicking draws and redirects against holographic foes. Mara watched from a rise, her tied-back hair tousled by the breeze, noting how the static's buzz seemed muted during these sessions. Evo emerged as a quiet pillar, his endurance in long holds mirroring the Thalan's lifelong crafting patience. He braced against simulated surges, his forging frame a steadfast anchor, drawing admiration from Nell and Priya. "You hold like the ancient plows," Nell said during a break, her poet's voice warm. Priya nodded, her sketches capturing his form in flowing lines. Evo's gaze lifted slightly, a hint of pride in his eyes. Adrian collaborated with Gabe on the drone modifications, their heads bent over a workbench in a commune workshop. They equipped a fleet of 20 units with light emitters, testing signal patterns against recorded static. "These could mimic the chants," Adrian said, adjusting an emitter's glow. Gabe's fingers flew over controls, the drones humming in response, their lights pulsing like Thalan art. The air smelled of solar and earth, a fusion of tech and tradition. Mara led discussions around a communal fire, flames crackling under the stars. She shared stories from her human military days, tales of turning cultural strengths into defenses. "On Earth, we adapted to deserts, oceans. Here, it's your rhythms that win." The trainees leaned in, their hums blending with her words, fostering a bridge between worlds. Elder Halden's shadow loomed in her mind, but she pushed it aside, focusing on the team's growth. A minor success sparked during a chant-com drill, the group countering a simulated static surge with unified hums. The hollow projection flickered but held, morale boosting like a rising sun. "We did it!" Priya whispered, her patterns aligning perfectly with the drone's paths. The team shared nods, a deeper connection hinting at what lay ahead. Elder Halden visited under the pretense of support, his ceremonial robes sweeping the ground. "Impressive progress," he said, his cold voice probing for weaknesses. His secretive nature clashed with the team's growing openness, eyes flicking to the drones in Evo's frame. Mara met his gaze evenly, her assertiveness a quiet wall. He left with feigned smiles, but tension simmered beneath. Priya's light patterns evolved into prototypes for communication tools, blending art with science in ways that intrigued Adrian's analytical mind. "It's like speaking to the stars," she said, projecting a swirling map of colors. Adrian adjusted his glasses, data tablet syncing the designs, his thoughtful nod a silent approval. Gabe tested them on a drone, the lights weaving a calming veil against the static's edge. The group shared meals in commune workshops, wooden tables laden with fresh produce and crafted breads. Emotional ties fostered as tales of Thalan history, ancient migrations under dual suns, intermingled with Mara's off-world experiences of distant colonies. "We fought for survival too," Mara said, passing a bowl. Laughter rippled, soft and genuine. The statics whispered, distant in those moments. Evo opened up slightly to Mara during a quiet walk through the fields, the bioluminescence casting a soft glow on his frame. These decades in the frame, it's not just physical. It's about protecting, holding steady. Mara listened, her empathetic side shining through. "That's your strength, Ivo. Not destruction, but endurance." He nodded, the words sinking in, his inward shrink lessening. Subtle tensions simmered as the Leviathan drew nearer, its static now audible in quiet nights. A low hum threading through dreams. The orbital ring's shadow grew longer, a reminder of time slipping away. From a distant outpost, a Thalan scout watched the team's drills, his multi-dimensional perspective filled with quiet awe. "They're blending like alloys. Strong but flexible," he thought, relaying reports to the council. Below, farmers paused their plows, feeling the planet's fate weave with the trainees' bonds. Mara stood alone at dusk, the fields alive with light. She felt the team's unity, a far cry from the clashing start. "We're ready for the test," she murmured, eyes on the Leviathan's faint glow. Halden's visit nagged, but progress pushed it back. Adrian pored over data in his quarters, waveforms revealing layers. "It's not aggression, it's a call," he whispered, the puzzle sharpening. Gabe joined him briefly, drones humming softly, their collaboration a quiet force. Evo practiced holds in the workshop, his frame steady against imagined forces. Nell's chant echoed in his mind, a rhythm of belonging. "I can protect them," he thought, confidence rooting deeper. Halden, in his chamber, adjusted the ring's controls, his plan coiling tighter. The Leviathan's energy was close, the team a unwitting pawn. "Soon," he muttered, eyes cold. The communes buzzed with quiet energy, farmers sharing stories of the team's growth. Priya sketched by firelight, her patterns a map of unity. The static grew, but so did their resolve, nights filled with hums that pushed back the void. Mara reviewed simulations, her mind sharp. The Leviathan's approach urged them on, a cosmic clock ticking. "One step at a time," she said to the empty air, feeling the bonds forge stronger. The planet turned, fields whispering under stars, as the team slept. Dreams of harmony weaving through the static's call. Keralon's rhythm held, a foundation for trials ahead. The orbital ring gleamed under Keralon's suns, a beacon of power now humming with test signals. The team gathered on the launch platform, tension thick as they prepared the artificial energy lure. Mara oversaw the calibration, her voice steady. Beam ready. Mimic those stellar nutrients. The beam shot out, a calibrated glow meant to draw the Leviathan away. But the creature's distant form ignored it, veering closer to the planet. Static crackled faintly, a mocking whisper. Morale plummeted in the aftermath, the group's unity fraying like worn fabric. Trainees murmured in clusters, questioning their progress amid the static's increasing chaos. Scattered arguments flared, Nell's chants clashing with Gabe's tech suggestions, faces tight with doubt. "What if we're not ready?" Priya whispered, her patterns forgotten on her pad. Evo stood silent, his frame a heavy weight, sensing the shift. Aboard the Seed Runner ship, docked at the ring's edge, they ran a high-stakes simulation. Consoles hummed, hollow displays projecting the Leviathan's approach. The static surged unexpectedly, overwhelming systems with a psychic buzz that sparked panic. Alarms blared, lights flickering as trainees scrambled. "Hold positions!" Mara shouted, but the surge hit like a wave, minds reeling. Evo, in the thick of it, felt insecurity flood him, his massive form crashing into the console in a moment of breakdown. The frame amplified the damage, sparks flying as panels shattered. He froze, eyes wide, the group's stares burning. I didn't mean," he stammered, the static's chaos mirroring his inner storm. From Gabe's station at the drone controls, terror gripped the room like a vice, his hands shaking on the levers. Priya, nearby, felt the artistic harmony shatter like fragile glass, her visions of unity crumbling amid the sparks. "It's falling apart," Gabe thought, while Priya clutched her pad, colors blurring in her mind. Elder Halden's voice cut through the chaos via comms, cold and demanding. "Shut it down, now! Remove that one to protect our resources!" His words pointed at Evo, a calculated jab to sow discord. The council feed showed his face, unyielding, his secret amplifications hidden behind concern. Mara intervened firmly, stepping between Evo and the flickering screens. "You're not a weapon, Evo. You're the anchor. When things falter, you hold us together." Her words ignited a spark, cutting through the panic. The group paused, eyes on her, the static's surge easing slightly. Evo accepted with newfound purpose, his inner thoughts shifting from self-doubt to a quiet vow of protection. "I can hold for them," he thought, marking his rebirth. His frame straightened, no longer a cage but a shield, as the simulation wound down. Adrian began decoding the static in earnest, his tablet a flurry of waveforms amid the turmoil. "It's not random. There's a pattern, deliberate." He pieced together fragments, suspecting amplification, his analytical mind racing ahead. The team regrouped tentatively on the platform, the incident forging resilience like tempered metal. They eyed the approaching Leviathan with renewed, if wary, determination. Mara clapped Evo on the shoulder, her empathy shining. "We learned from this. Next plan, better." Nell hummed a soft chant, pulling them back to rhythm. From a council overlook, a Thalan member watched remotely, grappling with the near disaster. "They almost broke, but held. That's strength." Below, a farmer in the fields felt the planet's fate teeter, pausing his plow amid the static's hum. Halden ended the calm, his chamber dim. The failure served his plan, drawing the creature closer. "Perfect," he muttered, fingers tweaking the ring's hidden mods. Mara walked the ship's corridors, mind churning. The lure's failure stung, but Evo's shift inspired. "We adapt," she thought, eyeing the stars. Adrian shared preliminary findings with Priya and Gabe, waveforms glowing. "It's a signal, amplified. Someone's pulling strings." They nodded, pieces falling into place. Evo stood alone on the deck, frame creaking softly. The static whispered, but his vow drowned it out. "Anchor? Yeah, I can be that." The Seed Runner hummed, systems repairing, as the team shared a quiet meal. Bonds mended in low conversations, chants weaving through doubts. Farmers below exchanged glances, sensing the crisis above. Their plows moved steadily, a ground-level rhythm supporting the stars. The Leviathan's glow intensified, static peaking in nights, but the team's wary eyes held firm. Keralon turned, fields resilient, as shadows deepened toward revelation. The Seed Runner's bridge hummed with quiet urgency, consoles flickering under the orbital ring's glow. Adrian stood before Mara, his tablet projecting waveforms that danced like captured stars. "It's not noise, Captain. It's a distress call from the Leviathan's offspring." He traced the patterns, revealing how the static was amplified artificially through the ring's modifications. The team leaned in, faces tight, Nell's hum faltering, Priya's sketches pausing as the truth unfolded. The chaos wasn't an attack. It was a desperate plea. Suspicion fell heavy on Elder Halden, Adrian's data pointing to anomalies in the ring's logs. "These tweaks, they're deliberate to draw the parent for energy harvest." Confirmed by hidden entries, Halden's secret plan emerged to exploit the creature for Keralon's gain, risking everything for power. Mara's jaw tightened, her military instincts flaring at the betrayal. The group murmured, shock rippling like static through their ranks. Mara confronted Halden privately in his chamber, the air thick with ceremonial incense masking his secrecy. "You amplified it. Endangered us all for what? Resources?" Her assertive tone clashed with his defensive posture, robes shifting as he denied at first, then deflected. "For the planet's future," he countered coldly, exposing the ethical rift between preservation and exploitation. Mara left, her steps firm, the confrontation igniting her resolve. Back on the ship, the team huddled in the workshop, devising a new plan amid the static's growing hum. Drones with authentic bioluminescent slurry, a nutrient trail spanning light years to guide it away. Gabe nodded, his drones ready to scatter the bait, a natural lure drawn from Keralon's fields. The idea sparked hope, their failure reframed as a path to understanding. Priya encoded Thalan chants into a light sound map, her artist's hands weaving patterns on the holoscreen. Tailored to its instincts, blending our culture with tech, the harmonious signal pulsed softly, colors syncing with Nell's resonant hums, a bridge across species. Adrian verified the waveforms, his glasses reflecting the glow, confirming it could calm the beast. Gabe prepped the drone swarm, 30 units strong, their emitters calibrated for precision release. Synchronizing with our rhythms, they'll lead it to the nursery. The team moved in unison, preparations flowing like a chant, tools clinking in time with their breaths. Evo adjusted his frame, his role clear amid the buzz. Evo positioned as guardian at vulnerable ship points, his massive form a symbol of balance rather than brute force. "I'll hold the line," he said quietly, his vow steady. Mara placed a hand on his shoulder, her empathy wordless, as the static whispered threats. Tension built as the operation launched from the ring's platform, drones deploying with a soft whir. The Leviathan responded tentatively to the bait, its distant glow intensifying, a cosmic shift that set hearts racing. Static crackled louder, the air electric, as the trail extended into the void. From a remote council feed, a Thalan member watched, grappling with shock at Halden's betrayal. "He risked us all for power?" Below, a farmer in the fields felt the planet's fate hanging in the balance, pausing his plow amid the hum, eyes skyward in quiet dread. The static peaked, a psychic storm building, setting the stage for crisis. The team held steady in their encoded song, Nell's voice leading the hum, hearts racing toward the brink. Mara commanded from the bridge, her voice cutting through. "Stay with the rhythm. Guide it home." The Leviathan's form loomed larger, its distress echoing louder, the operation teetering on the edge. Adrian monitored the signals, waveforms spiking wildly. It's turning, but the amplification, it's fighting back. Priya adjusted patterns in real time, colors pulsing to soothe, while Gabe steered the drones through Void's pull. Evo braced at a conduit junction, his frame creaking against imagined strains. The static clawed at minds, but chance pushed it away, a fragile harmony amid chaos. Halden, isolated in his chamber, watched via hidden feeds, his plan unraveling. They don't understand. The energy could save us. But doubt flickered, his secrecy cracking under the weight. The slurry trail glowed, a light-year path to the stellar nursery, the Leviathan's glow shifting tentatively. Static roared, a peak that shook the ship, hearts pounding as crisis loomed. Nell's chant rose higher, weaving with Priya's lights, a cultural shield against the storm. Mara gripped the console, her mind sharp. Hold, just hold. Farmers below hummed in solidarity, their fields alive with bioluminescence, echoing the drone's trail. The council member relayed urgent messages, shock turning to action. The Leviathan hesitated, its offspring's call pulling, amplified no more as logs began to expose Halden's tweaks. Evo's stance held firm, a living anchor, as tension crested. The operation pushed forward, the brink a breath away. Static's peak a thunderous wave. Keralon's duo suns dipped, shadows lengthening, as the team braced for the surge. The void whispered secrets, the creature's glow a beacon of impending clash. The drones burst from the Seed Runner's bays, scattering the bioluminescent slurry in a shimmering trail that stretched into the void. Their emitters broadcast the chant map in pulsing waves. Nell's resonant hum encoded into light and sound, drawing the Leviathan slowly from the orbital ring toward the stellar nursery. The creature's massive form shifted, its glow flickering with hesitation, the distress call from its offspring pulling it along the nutrient path. Static crackled through the ship, but the team's rhythm held, hearts pounding in unison. As the Leviathan turned, chaos erupted like a storm unleashed. The static overwhelmed the systems, a psychic roar that shook consoles and minds alike. A power conduit exploded in arcing electricity, sparks flying across the flight deck, threatening to engulf the crew in deadly discharge. Alarms blared, red lights flashing, the air thick with ozone and panic. "Systems critical! Hold on!" someone shouted, but the surge pressed on, relentless. Mara commanded amid the frenzy, her voice steady as steel, cutting through the din from the bridge. "Evasive maneuvers! Dodge those flares!" She gripped the controls, directing the Seed Runner with precise twists, the ship groaning under the strain. Energy flares licked at the hull, but her practical assertiveness guided them through. Eyes locked on the hollow display where the Leviathan's path wavered. Evo leaped into action from his post, his massive frame barreling toward the breach. He grasped a fallen blast door with raw power, metal screeching as he hauled it up, standing as a living shield between the crew and the arcing discharge. Electricity danced inches from his skin, the forging frame creaking under the assault, but he held firm, muscles bulging with effort. "I've got it," he grunted, embodying his role as anchor, the static's fury battering against his resolve. His body strained against the force, veins standing out, sweat beading on his plated skin as he held for critical minutes. Systems flickered, stabilizers whining, but Evo's endurance bought time. The discharge grounding harmlessly through his braced form. The crew scrambled behind him, sealing leaks, their chance of faint undercurrent to his silent vow. Pain shot through him, but he pushed it down, a quiet protector in the storm. Gabe maneuvered the drones through the turmoil from his station, fingers flying over controls as their lights wove a calming path amid the chaos. "Adjusting trajectory. Keep the trail steady." Priya worked beside him, adjusting patterns in real time, Her artists touch sinking colors to soothe the beast. The chant map pulsed stronger, countering the static's rage, guiding the Leviathan onward despite the surge. Adrian monitored waveforms on his tablet, glasses slipping as he shouted updates. Offspring signal weakening. The parents following. Breakthrough. Amid the peril, data confirmed their plan's success, the distress call fading as the creature pursued the nursery. His analytical mind raced, piecing victories from the storm, hope flickering brighter. In a climactic surge, the Leviathan's glow shifted from chaotic rage to peaceful harmony, its massive form gliding into the stellar nursery, a vast dust cloud rich in nutrients, spanning a light year. The static ebbed like a receding tide, the creature's pulses softening, reuniting with its young in the glowing haze. The team watched on screens, breaths held, the void's fury giving way to calm. Evo collapsed exhausted but triumphant, the blast door clanging down as systems stabilize. His protection had saved lives, frames smoking faintly, but he managed a weary smile. The crew cheered in relief, claps and hums filling the deck. Nell's voice leading a victory chant that echoed through the ship. We did it, together. Mara rushed to his side, her fair hand helping him up, empathy in her eyes. Logs streamed to the council in the heat of victory, digital trails exposing Halden's scheme, his amplifications, his tweaks for energy harvest. The data sealed his downfall, council feeds lighting up with evidence, his cold plans unraveling like frayed wires. It's over for him, Adrian murmured, waveforms finally at peace. From a multi-dimensional perspective, a council elder viewed the feeds remotely, all mixing with resolve. They turned betrayal to salvation. True guardians. Below in Keralon, farmers felt the static fade, pausing in fields to hum thanks. The planet's rhythm restored. Mara stood on the bridge watching the nurseries glow. The frenzy ebbed, her assertiveness giving way to quiet pride. Not by force, by understanding. The team gathered, bonds unbreakable, cheers fading into relieved laughter. Evo leaned against a bulkhead, breath steadying, his role as anchor solidified, pain a badge of triumph. Held the line, he whispered, confidence blooming. Priya and Gabe high-fived, drones returning like faithful scouts, their lights dimming softly. Nell's chant wound down, a lullaby for the stars. Halden's chamber went dark, council summons incoming, his secrecy shattered. He sat alone, robes heavy, the weight of exposure crushing. The seed runner stabilized, hull cooling, as the Leviathan vanished into the nursery's embrace. Static silenced, the void peaceful once more. Farmers below resumed plows, tales of the event already weaving into songs. The council prepared reforms, Holden's era ending. Mara reflected amid the calm, the climax rush fading. We saved more than a planet. We found balance. The team nodded, eyes on the stars, victory's warmth lingering. Keralon's sun set, fields glowing faintly as the ship turned homeward. The nurseries light a distant beacon. Peace restored. The seed runner glided back toward Keralon, the stellar nursery's glow fading into a soft memory on the hollow screens. With the Leviathan safely nestled in its natural feeding ground, its static faded completely, a silent wave washing over the planet. Skies cleared of that psychic hum, minds easing as if a heavy fog had lifted. Farmers in the fields paused, breathing deep, the duo suns shining brighter without the cosmic shadow. Mara stood at the viewport, her tall frame relaxed for the first time in weeks, watching the orbital ring come into view. On the planet, the council convened swiftly, Holden's chamber now a place of reckoning. Stripped of power by unanimous vote, his exploitation condemned in sharp terms, the elder bowed his head under the weight of evidence. For the greater good, he muttered, but the words rang hollow, his cold gaze dimmed. Reforms swept in like fresh winds, ethical resource use prioritized. The ring systems audited to prevent future schemes. Keralon's leaders promised transparency, a new dawn for their modest millions, blending caution with progress. The Thalans honored the team with a grand commune gathering in the central fields, bonfires crackling under the stars, spanning hectares of communal ground. Chants echoed in celebration, science and culture intertwined like roots and soil. Nell led the hums, her poet's voice rising with Priya's light patterns dancing on the air, Gabe's drones hovering like fireflies. Trainees and farmers alike joined, plated skins gleaming, their rhythms a tapestry of unity. "You saved our world," an elder said, offering woven garlands. Mara accepted, her fair smile warm, the air filled with shared stories and soft laughter. Mara addressed the council later in a simple hall etched with Thalan symbols. "I'll found the Steward Corps, a force of 100 initial members, blending defense with conservation." She agreed on one condition: full transparency, no more hidden tweaks or secrets. The leaders nodded, their hums of approval resonating. "We'll watch the star." "And each other," one replied, sealing the pact. The Corps would train in fields and workshops, a hybrid of chants and tech, guarding balance. Adrian joined as co-leader, his slim form beside Mara's strong build, glasses catching the firelight. "My insights with your strategy? It'll work." Their partnership rooted in empathy, his thoughtful analysis complementing her practical command. They shared a quiet nod, visions of future drills blending neurodata with farming rhythms, a duo forged in the crisis's fire. Evo was hailed as the official anchor amid the gathering, his massive frame standing tall without inward shrink. Confidence solidified, he symbolized strength through care, not destruction. "I held for all of us," he said softly. Did the crowd's cheers a gentle wave. His forging frame, once a burden, now gleamed with purpose, a living emblem of endurance. Trainees clapped his back, Nell's chant honoring him, his quiet presence a cornerstone for the Corps. Nell, Priya, and Gabe integrated their talents seamlessly into the Corps, turning creative tools into standard protocols. Nell's chants became training cadences, Priya's patterns, visual guides for signals, Gabe's drones, precision scouts. "R2 action," Priya said with a grin, her sketches now hollow blueprints. Gabe tinkered nearby. "Yeah, these bots will save more than crops now." Nell hummed agreement, their cooperative spirits weaving the new force into Keralon's fabric. In a quiet moment after the gathering, Mara walked the fields alone, the bioluminescence soft underfoot. She reflected on the journey, her inner thoughts affirming that understanding triumphed over control. Failure was data, culture's allies. Listening won the day. The Leviathan's freedom, Holden's fall, it all pointed to balance. Her earthways enriched by Thalan rhythms, a soft breeze carried distant hums, peace settling like dew. The planet thrived in the aftermath, fields bountiful under dual suns, the orbital ring repurposed for sustainable energy. No longer a tool for exploitation, its panels captured light ethically, powering communes without excess. A new era of harmony marked Keralon, population growing in steady waves, artisans crafting tools that blended old and new. From a multi-dimensional perspective, distant Thalan artisans in remote workshops felt inspired, weaving tales of the event into their crafts. One hammered a plaque, murmuring, "They sang to the stars," and held the line. "That's our legacy." Another etched patterns of the chant map into stone, ensuring the balance endured. Farmers shared stories by fires, the anchor's tale a favorite, Evo's strength a symbol passed down. The council reformed quietly, transparency a guiding hum, the void no longer a threat, but a vast canvas. Mara rejoined Adrian at the commune edge, the duo's sun setting in a blaze of color. "We stay. Build this right," she said, her assertive tone laced with warmth. He nodded, tablet tucked away, their partnership a quiet promise. Evo approached, frame steady. Ready for more. If you need an anchor. Laughter followed, soft and natural. Nell, Priya, and Gabe demonstrated a protocol by the fire, chants syncing with drone lights, a preview of the course future. It's not just defense, it's preservation, Gabe added, his wiry energy infectious. The group hummed, rhythms blending seamlessly, the statics echo a distant memory. Halden, now exiled to a quiet outpost, pondered his fall in solitude. The council's reforms a lesson etched deep. Keralon moved on, unburdened. The fields whispered under starlight, artisans' crafts glowing with new tales. The steward corps took shape, 100 members gathering for first drills, chants rising at dawn. Mara led with fair hand, Adrian's insights guiding, Evo anchoring the line. In workshops, patterns and drones evolved, Nell's voice a constant thread. The planet pulsed with life, balance defining its core, progress with empathy, strength through care. Mara gazed skyward one last time, the nursery's light a faint twinkle. Understanding, yeah, that's the real power. The void held no more whispers of distress, only harmony's echo. Keralon turned, fields eternal, legacy woven into every hum and craft. The end of one threat, the birth of guardians, balance enduring like the suns themselves.